Studio check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the It Factor, blessing the airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and soul. With energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
the biggest show in the world, the SBTV Nation.
Oh, man, you gotta love that track on a Sunday morning, getting ready for the NFL. What's up, guys? We are the SBTV Nation, having an absolute blast, talking about pigskin, getting ready to rock, feeling a little bit after the college football slate yesterday, and getting ready for the NFL. And I'm talking to my man, The Dream. Dream, what's up?
What is up? And I got news for you. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather 2, like I said, is going to go down.
Yeah?
That much closer to happening is Manny dominated Vargas yesterday, beat Vargas down, looked really sharp in yesterday's fight. I mean, I don't know if you expected Manny to not look sharp, but I expected him to look sharp. He did look sharp. You and I talked about it yesterday. I talked about getting some Pac-Man, and he really dominated this fight. Floyd Mayweather was there in attendance as well.
Oh, really?
This setup, they've already the ball is already somewhat in motion, and I would expect it to come to fruition very soon.
You really think so? And you know what, Dream? Yeah, that would make him 50-0 if he did have one more fight, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know what? I'm not a big boxing fan at all, just especially with the product that's been coming out. But, last night's fight did, had a lot of people talking, and Pac-Man was a minus 600 favorite going into that fight last night. So those are your numbers.
No, those are my numbers. And Pac-Man dropped the pack down, especially in that 8th round, man. The 8th round was crazy. Unleashed a flurry on Vargas and he dominated. Pac-Man looked good. Still, they're going to be a Mayweather Pac-Man too. It is not going to be an exciting fight because that's just not what the two of them do. And those two styles just don't correlate for an exciting. There is going to be another one, trust me.
You've been saying it all along, Dream, and I think the paycheck for these guys would be absolutely outstanding, especially if Pac-Man is the champ.
That's why you know that it's going to be another one because the payday for the first one, even if you get half of what you got in the first one, which I don't see why they wouldn't get, it's still an enormous payday.
It sure is. So good morning to everybody. We are live on Twitter. This is the SBTV Nation. This is the It Factor. This is the show that's going to talk a little bit about the work that we did yesterday on the collegiate slate. Dream started off a little ugly, but for you anyway. For me, it was all right, considering the fact that I had North Carolina yesterday and ended up closing out the night with Penn State. But talk to me about what you had going on.
Stomach ache central as Florida did not show up in impressive fashion yesterday. Beat down by Arkansas. Started the day off very bad on that, but thank God that play happened early. Enough for me to get the regroup in the night. And when all else goes bad, just take your bankroll and put it on Bama and go to bed.
Good job on that one. That was a stomach ache game. I had a really, really difficult day yesterday with my father's funeral and all that. But we came home, and I actually fell asleep in the third quarter of that game, considering the fact that there was no scoring. It was 0-0 when I fell asleep.
And speaking of scoring, if you were looking for scoring and just all you had to do was flip over to the Ohio State Nebraska game where scoring was all about it. And that was my other play as well, Ohio State. I like a 3-team parlay, which was going to be Florida, Alabama, and Ohio State. Florida knocked it out, so we redid it with Alabama and Ohio State. Ohio State went absolutely ham and looked very impressive as they got it done 62-3 against Nebraska.
You and I talked about that, and I saw that heavy line, and I was kind of scratching my head a little bit after they kind of just squeaked through versus Northwestern in Columbus. And I saw the 17-point line, and I said, you know what? Something looks a little wrong there. It seems like way too many points. And sure enough, they lateth the smacketh down on the Cornhuskers. So Cornhuskers are definitely out of the conversation, Dream.
Definitely.
So looking at the rest of the landscape of what went down yesterday, there were a lot of beatdowns. Ton of beatdowns yesterday, including number 2 Clemson 54-0 over at Syracuse Orange. I don't know if you got a chance to look at any of that. Actually, you were with me yesterday, so we watched a little bit of that.
We watched a little bit of everything as it was all going down right in front of us. Saw Baylor get banged up. What happened?
Baylor is done. After the loss last week, they have lost 2 consecutive games, and they got absolutely embarrassed on their home field versus TCU Ski. By 40 points, Dream, 62-22.
Very ugly. And a couple of other drubbings that went down yesterday as well. You also had Washington beat the brakes off of California and Washington State. Washington State also went absolutely ham. Michigan went and got it done in practice. Yeah, yesterday, some of the numbers were just insane.
Yeah, so absolutely. And my kid wanted me to take Washington State and NC State. And he said NC State plus the 7 plus the money line. The money line was the only thing that he fell down with yesterday. But the kid's been good over the last 3 weeks, so I got to give him a lot of credit there. Dream, Auburn struggled a little bit, but they had some injuries.
Auburn struggled a lot. Blake Moore let me, to turn me on. When I talked about him and turning me on to this Auburn team, he's been talking to me about them for most of the season and about their turnarounds. And I started recognizing that. Apparently, the starting quarterback and 2 of their better linebackers at the start of the game got scratched, last-minute scratch, and got, taken off and weren't able and available to play. Auburn did squeak out this win against listen, you guys say what you want about Vanderbilt. I've seen this team live. This is not a good team. I'm sorry. They are not.
They are not.
Auburn, I'll give you didn't have your starting quarterback, and okay, the linebackers were missing. However, in college football, where it's a little bit different than pros. Like if Drew Brees goes out, game's pretty much a wrap for New Orleans. In college, you don't fall that much off with your backups. Not that much off with your backups, generally. I mean, some gameplay falters, but not that much. Also, on the defensive side, generally the other guys in the linebacker positions are able to step back up. You switch the zones. You switch into different types of defenses to hide your weaknesses. No reason for Vanderbilt to be as competitive as they were in this game.
Exactly, and the line only went down with all the injuries. It only went down 2.5 points from 25.5 to 23.
Yeah, exactly. No reason for Vanderbilt to be as competitive as they were in this game. Exactly. And they were competitive. So, before we're going to go crazy with this Auburn team, I'm just going to let you know something. Vanderbilt stinks. Auburn struggled with Vanderbilt. So that would mean that the upper echelon of that SEC, it's shaky, but I'm just saying, don't tell me about no Auburn Bama, please.
Right.
I don't want to have that discussion.
Well, let's stay with the SEC and talk about Luke Del Rizzo, the quarterback for the Florida Gators, who got murdered by Arkansas.
When they went to scout Luke and he was missing his receivers by 5 to 6 yards off as far as accuracy was concerned, who was like, oh yeah, he's dope. That's our guy. Because, man, that kid is look, I know he's a kid. I know he's young. I know listen, don't even bother thinking about going to the NFL, Del Rizzo. Get your degree, player. Get your degree. Have fun. Get your education because you're going right to work after college and not into the NFL. This guy, a horrible hat.
I know. You and I were actually. It ended up being comedic towards the end of the game. He was awful.
The accuracy is terrible. Terrible. Guy's wide open. He's missing them by a yard. It's just, dude. Everybody's entitled to a bad day, and maybe that you want to give him a bad day, but some of that, you are not going to fix up some of that before the end of the season or before the end of your college football career. So, dude, hit the books.
Yeah, exactly. And he had a quarterback rating of 6.4. Dream 6, single-digit rating yesterday. And speaking, sticking with the SEC real quick, I see that I don't think there's going to be any conversation about a team that's going to sneak into the top 4 as far as the playoff committee after the embarrassing loss that Texas A&M contributed to yesterday as they lost to Mississippi State in Mississippi State. Dream, home team underdog. Bites them. So how far do you think? They'll probably fall to like an 11 spot or something.
I didn't Texas A&M in that 4 spot. I said at the beginning of the week when we talked about it, I said I don't really care. They're going to fall out of it. They're going to catch a loss.
Yeah.
They didn't belong in the 4 spot. I don't even know why they did that. Like almost seemed like they did it to be funny, or maybe they jinxed them this week into a loss. But listen, nobody expected that. Nobody expected them to stay anyway. So I'm glad they went on and got the loss and got it over with.
Oh, right on. So I'm looking at the rest of it, and West Virginia was impressive, but they did play Kansas, who was 0-6 in the Big 12 and 1-8 overall. NC State almost knocked off Florida State. It was tight. It was tight until the end of the game, where Florida State got that last touchdown and came ahead and never looked back. Did you see any of that, Dream?
I didn't see any of that. One more time, we'll talk about, because your son gave this play, I gave out Washington State, and more, that Washington State-Washington game is starting to look like it's going to be possibly a very good competitive game. I mean, Washington State was very impressive yesterday, bludgeoning Arizona. Now, I know Arizona isn't a powerhouse this year, so I'm not going to go too crazy with it, but 69-7, that's a bludgeoning.
Absolutely, and now, and Dizzle was talking about that since the beginning of the year, that game at the end. He said that would be the game that everybody's circling as far as a really good matchup, and that is in Washington State. In-state rivalry. You're going to have a home team underdog probably on prime time. That may be College game day. Actually, you know what? If that's the end of the year, it's definitely going to be Michigan and Ohio State. But that is going to be it's going to be a good one as well, as far as the top 25 is concerned. And looking at the rest of it, North Carolina handled their business yesterday. I really didn't have any trouble with that game, Dream, at all, as they won by 28 points. So you have any other college football you want to talk about before we dive into the NFL?
Nope, that would be it. It's going to be really interesting as we get down to the wire. And one more time, Louisville did go and handle their business in impressive fashion again, as Action Jackson keeps putting his stamp on getting that Heisman Trophy. So just keep an eye out on Louisville. I think when it all boils down to it, some kind of way Louisville's going to have to make that playoff, but I don't know how. But we'll figure it out as the season continues.
All right, brother. So, guys, it's about that time. We are getting ready. We have pro football among us starting at 1 o'clock. We do not have any London games this week, so it's all going to kick off at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, Dream, I like the card today.
I know. You said that yesterday, and I looked at it, and I'm like, dude, really? What? Like, what is it you like?
I like a couple of games here, so we're going to have a conversation, and we will start it right off. Would you like to start off, or would you like me to?
Well, I'm going to take the lead on this one. I'm going to go for at the 1 o'clock slot. I'm going to go with the easiest game that looks like to me on the board, and it should be no surprise where I'm going to anybody who listens to the show. There's one game that's standing out looking like I won't even have to watch it. It should just be just a ham. Just put it in.
You know how those go.
Yeah, go make some hamburgers or something. So, of course, the Cowboys will be losing 21-0 at the half. Because that's where I'm going. I'm going to Big D right now, and we're looking at that offensive line that everybody is talking about and how they could run behind it. And, they're going to be so dope. And Cowboy fans now, boy, they got their voices back. They got their Super Bowl stuff on. Cowboy gear is in full fashion. But slow down.
Right on.
Slow down a minute. All right?
What did my future brother-in-law say to you yesterday?
Oh, man. I said the Cowboys look pretty good. He goes, looks. Like, yeah, they look pretty good, dude. They look pretty good. But I think that they could still be beat.
Of course. I don't see. I mean, I'd be very surprised if they ran through the NFC. But so you're going to take them. Are you getting involved in the points? Are you going to do this in a money line situation?
It's a money line situation, guys. I did a frustration play late night after we lost the Florida game. Put in a parlay with Alabama, Ohio State, left 2 spots open as far as the money line. So we're just going to money line the Cowboys here and put that in one of the spots. And we do have another spot later. Obviously, I don't think I need to go on about how good the Cowboys are or how bad the Cleveland Browns are. The game should not be competitive, but we know that it probably will be. Cleveland struggling at the quarterback position. We've talked about that. They do have a bright spot in Terrell Pryor. Obviously, he's a phenomenal athlete, can do a lot of things. But if I was a Cowboy defense, I'd say, hey, listen, let's just pay him a lot of attention and let the other stuff fall into place. Their offensive line is fantastic. We talked about Dallas's offensive line being good, probably one of the best in professional football. Ezekiel Elliott appears to be a beast this season, getting it done on the ground. The one problem I do have with Dallas that I watched last week, and I hope that it doesn't happen this week. Dak Prescott, find the open receiver, and if it's your boy Beasley, who you've got a great chemistry with, continue to feed him. Do not try to force the ball to the clown in the 88 jersey that's telling you he's open every 5 minutes and get me the ball and all that nonsense. Go out there and win the game and throw the ball to the open receiver. Yes. I thought I saw some forced spots last week to Dez, because I know Dez is probably screaming and yelling. And listen, I'm not going to say Dez isn't talented. I think he's an awesome wide receiver. One of the best, one of the top 5 in the game. But you cannot force the ball to a player if there's other players wide open. Just do what you got to do. Dez will find a way to get open, and you'll find him in spots. And if you don't, then you don't. It's all about winning the game. Go out there and win the game. Beat the Browns and move on.
All right. Sounds good. So, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in that one. You know what, Dream? When you get to an 0-8, now you're halfway through the season, and you're playing in front of your home fans who are very loyal to you.
Sure.
Is there any possible way that Cleveland knocks off Dallas today? Listen, I know 99% of the public is going to say hell no. But if there's one spot where Dallas could choke, it might be in Cleveland, Dream. So, you know what? I do wish you the best of luck. I'm not getting involved in that game, and you probably will win this game. But I see better spots as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to move right over to a team that has been super hot, one of the hottest teams in the NFL outside of Dallas, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are hosting the Jacksonville Jags today. And, you know, when I look at it, obviously, you know, we've got some pretty substantial injuries here as far as KC is concerned. But defensively, I like what they're doing. They're definitely moving. You know, they've got that. Do we know if Alex Smith's going to be injuring?
Alex Smith, it was not clear from concussion protocol as far as I've read.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with Nick Foles, to be honest with you. I really am. But, you know, when I'm looking at the injury report here, obviously, you know, we've got some substantial injuries. But the Jacksonville Jags, I mean, I watched this team go into the Tennessee Titans and get murdered by him, Dream.
You love the Jags?
No, I'm not in love with the Jags. And Jeremy Maclin is questionable today. Obviously, Jamal Charles is on the injured reserve. Spencer Ware is out for the game, and Alex Smith has actually been ruled out. So I am dealing with Nick Foles, but I think defensively this team will keep him in the game. But I'm not going to lay the points. I'm going to take Kansas City on the money line, and that's where I'm at with this particular affair. Any thoughts on this one?
I'm right there with as far as Kansas City winning the game. It was also another spot that I was going to talk about. I'm not taking this particular game because I don't have to, but I do like Kansas City to win this game at home. It will probably be a little bit more competitive than you may think it's going to be.
Right.
Just because that's the landscape of how it goes down.
Of course.
You know, it's just going to go down like that. You know, I don't love this Jag team. I don't really know what the love affair was with them. Defensively, they're allowing 360 yards. You know, they're allowing 124 on the ground, 235 through the air. So, I mean, the defense is bad. The offense isn't exactly blowing you away. And Kansas City's offense doesn't blow you away either, but I would expect Kansas City to dink and dunk, short pass the ball down the field. Nick Foles should fit in probably comfortably as Alex's replacement, because I don't think that the Chiefs are going to try to throw the ball down the field a whole hell of a lot. Dink and dunks and run the ball, and he should be able to get that done. And they should get out of there with a win. If your money line is right.
Yes.
As long as it's money line, I don't see how it can go there.
I was kind of impressed with Nick Foles last week, to be honest with you.
Nick Foles is that guy that comes in off the bench in the middle of the game and looks absolutely incredible, and then he gets the starting spot, and then you're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah. Well, at home, I got to be honest with you. Looking at the Jags and watching them in the Tennessee game and watching what they've done in the last 20 games on the road, guys, listen to this. And we said this last Thursday night when they played. 2 wins, 18 losses on the road. They're winning basically 10% of their games on the road in the last few years. You know what? I like my chances with KC regardless. If they were at full strength, it'd probably be like 13, 14 points as far as the spread is concerned, Dream. So I think I got some pretty good value as far as money lining them. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm going to stick with. So I'm going to move it over to you and see what you got next.
Spot for me is going to be in the Tundra.
The Tundra. You're going to the Tundra, huh?
The music just changed for me to head on over. I'm going to the frozen Tundra, but it won't be frozen today as the weather's supposed to be 53 degrees in Green Bay. I'm going to Lambeau Field. We're looking at an awful Colt defensive team.
Really awful.
Like the Colts defense, and Aaron Rodgers looked like the old Aaron Rodgers last week. I know they lost, but just his ability to move the ball around, he started losing his legs a little bit. The offenses started moving and having that little bit of a rhythm to it. Now, they lost last week, but they played, as far as I'm concerned, a pretty good team. You there with me, Hat?
Yes.
Okay.
The Atlanta Falcons, yeah.
So I think that they can get it done this week. This Colt team, I know what they can do offensively, and we know about Andrew Luck and his ability to get the ball down the field and how their offense works. Defense is allowing 413 yards, guys. That's bad.
Awful.
You can't allow that kind of yardage, and you can't do that against a very potent Green Bay team. I don't like the Colts' running game either. I feel like they have some issues with their running game as they're only averaging 99 yards on the ground. You're looking at a Green Bay defense that's only allowed 74 yards defensively as rushing is concerned. So expect, once again, the Colts will have no running game and are going to look to just air the ball out the whole game, which makes them kind of one-dimensional. So Green Bay should be able to capitalize on that in some respects, in some instances. I expect Green Bay to win this game today.
You know what? As far as the running back position, as far as the Indianapolis Colts organization, I think going back, I don't even remember, guys, and if you have the stat, please let me know, but Frank Gore had the only 100-yard rushing performance for this team in, like, years. Like, something absolutely crazy. They are just not a rushing juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. And you know what? I think they're going to have trouble in the Tundra. I agree with you on this one, Dream. I don't know if I'm going to play it. I may, because it's a 4-o'clocker. But we'll have to have that conversation. You know, you and I will go back and forth later on. And, you know, it all depends on what happens to me at 1 o'clock. But, you know, looking at this particular game, I'm with you. I like Green Bay to get it done. Bounce back from the loss versus Atlanta and win this particular game. So I'm with you on that one. I'm going to go over to another game. It's probably not going to be a surprise on where I'm going today, guys. And you know what? They say don't bet with your emotions. Don't do any heart plays, blah, 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 blah. However, I got to do it. I have to do it. My father was a very big Miami Dolphins fan. And you know what? Obviously, if you guys don't know yet, my father passed away this week. And, you know, him and I and my son used to get together every Sunday when I wasn't with my boy, The Dream. And we would watch the Miami Dolphins play. And he watched them stink for several years. Now, they are hosting the New York Jets today. And they are in Miami, in South Beach. They are minus 4 points, under over a 44. You know what? This is just emotion, period. I mean, if I lose, I lose. Hey, whatever. It is what it is. But I do have a nice little parlay, which I'm closing out with the Miami Dolphins, and I hope they win. They're giving that nasty 4-point stream. It's the interdivision matchup. I don't recommend that anybody in the world do what I'm doing. But I'm going to do it in spirit of my father. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins today. They're just playing better than the Jets, period, overall. And I think they'll get the job done. Jets are only averaging 18.8 points per game. I mean, when you look at what Fitzpatrick has done, I mean, it's just tough. This is not a game that the Jets have for a win as far as I'm concerned. But I could be wrong, but I'll go down in flames. It's fine. What's your thoughts on this AFC East matchup, Dream?
Well, this game has all the makings to me for the Jets to win. And I don't really know why or how, but it's one of those things where Miami seems like they're playing good.
Yep.
Seems like they figured it out, got the running game going, you know, looking impressive there, got a couple of wins. Defense is starting to pick it up a little bit. And then here come the Jets come in and beat them out of nowhere like you don't see it coming. Very ugly matchup to me, man. The teams know each other, interdivisional, all that jazz. You know what time it is. You stay away from those situations generally. Dolphins are home. I'll give them the nod because they're home. I still think when I go look at skill positions, I look at the Jets, and I think they got better athletes, personally. Okay. You know, I think Fitzpatrick is a better quarterback than Tannehill. Matt Forte is the best running back on the field today. And then you got Brandon Marshall at the wide receiver spot. Defense on the Jets, got A-Rod back there, who I know has been dusty, but maybe he can play somewhat well in the zone. So as I look at this, I give the nod to the Jets, but I wish you the best of luck. I'm not getting involved in it.
All right. Just a couple of trends to report here. Miami's been pretty damn good at home. 4-1 in the last 5 games when playing in Miami. However, versus the Jets, they are 1-4 in the last 5 when playing this New York Jets team. So, you know what? Hey, I'm going to get involved in it. And, guys, maybe if you're not in the game, you'll wish me the best of luck with this one. So I'm going to move over to you, Dream, and see what you got next up your sleeve.
Other small point I'd like to point out as well, the Jets are very good defensively against the run, only allowing 74 yards a game on ground. Yeah. So if Miami, I think part of Miami's success has been the gameplay they've gotten out of their running back, which has been absolutely.
Ajayi's been sick.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. I don't know that he's going to get that kind of success today against a tough Jet defense, though.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. What you got?
All right. So, as far as I'm concerned now, I'm done as far as my players are concerned. I'm going to add those two. I added, as we talked about, Dallas, and I'm going with Green Bay. Just a couple other spots you might want to look at. Very interesting matchup today in the NFC East. You got the Giants and the Eagles going down. And I've been a big proponent of this Giant fan, but I've also liked how the Eagles have played this season as well. Giants are home, and this is an important game that the Giants need to go get. Odell needs to really come to play and not be involved with the kicking net.
Yeah, right.
I don't really understand what that's all about, but whatever. Anyway, back to the game. This is an important game. NFC East matchup, going to be a good game. Probably going to be a good game to watch. Both of these teams kind of remind me of each other, except I do think that Philly is a little bit more polished, but the Giants, to me, have more talent.
I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I think the Giants are far superior offensively, and Philly is far superior defensively.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with it. But, everybody's got their own opinions. So
and I won't necessarily disagree with that. I don't really disagree with that. I think you might be right there with that. Only thing is, sometimes Philly's defense, it seems like it's good, but then at other areas, I see spots.
Sure.
I see spots. Very interesting game. Giants are home. For some reason, dude, I like the Giants.
For some reason, you like the Giants. Well, I'm in agreement on that. When you look at, there's a couple of key points here with Philadelphia. Now, they're giving up 328 yards per game, but they're only allowing 16.7 points. So what that means is that they're giving up big yardage, but when it comes to getting closer to your opposing end zone, they're keeping the teams out of field goal range. They're keeping them out of the end zone. They're keeping them out of the red zone. So they're doing pretty well on that standpoint. Now, offensively, obviously, you've seen your struggles with them, okay? And, when you look at it, and the Giants' defense, they're not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. They do give up 20 points a game. They give up about 361 yards per game defensively. But I think the defense will play inspired football, Dream, today in front of their home crowd. I don't think Philadelphia will put up too many points. I think Philadelphia's defense will keep this a tight game. But I agree with you. I think the Giants will emerge. I'm not going to put my money on it. But I just have the feeling. I'm right there with you, and I understand where you're going, and I think the Giants will win the game. If I was to get involved in this game, I would lean the under.
Yep.
Just because I think it'll be a knockdown, drag-out type affair. The Giants are only putting up 19 points a game, But that's where I'm at with it, brother.
Definitely. And I think if you get this game in a teaser spot, probably any way works.
Yeah.
Giants in the under, Philly in the under, any way it probably works.
Okay. Sounds good, my brother. So let's talk about another one, Dream.
Oh.
Let's talk about a Minnesota Vikings team who's hosting Detroit. Minnesota -6 with an under-over of 42. Coming off the short week, traveling back home. Got Detroit coming in. And Detroit's got to play outside. And Detroit is a dome team playing on grass. And the Minnesota Vikings, obviously, like I said, short week of practice, but still got that amazing defense. And I think that Minnesota bounces back here. I like them to get the job done and beat Detroit. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
My thoughts are not so fast.
Not so fast. I like Detroit. I've played Detroit several times, and I've been successful with them.
But we've just seen the Minnesota Vikings be exposed in the last 2 weeks. They just lost to the Bears, which I guess maybe I was like one of the few people who thought that was going to happen. And then they also had lost to Philadelphia. And I think in those losses, they exposed that they have a bad offensive line and that the real Sam Bradford has finally come to play, which is an issue. This Detroit team, now, I don't know what's Detroit's traveling issues or what their problem is with their travel plan, but they do need to, that is one of their soft spots. And I know that they are traveling in this situation, but they do need to try to get that particular dynamic together. You come into Minnesota, and I believe that the Detroit Lions are going to have some success through the air throwing the ball against this Minnesota Vikings defense, because I saw Cuddles having success against Minnesota's Vikings defense last week. And the one thing about the defense, I know they're good. Any defense who's left on the field for an elongated period of time can break down.
Sure.
Their offense is not helping them out. I think Detroit's going to be able to do enough to keep Minnesota's offense off the field and keep that defense on the field. And I think Detroit are going to just keep taking little pot shots at the armor, kicking those field goals, getting in field goal range. I also see probably a low-scoring affair here as well. Dude, I got Detroit to win this game.
You got Detroit to win the game on the field. I'm totally on the opposite side here. But you know what? I don't think either one of these teams are going to make any noise come playoff time, Dream.
No, I don't either.
So I think we're both in agreement on that. And I think Detroit is basically going through the motions. But on the road, they have just been brutal. And they're just not getting it done. So it's going to be a hard-fought victory, but I believe it'll be the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm the opposite side of you as far as that's concerned. And Minnesota did win the last couple of games that they did play the Detroit Lions. So moving on to the rest of the card here, let's have a conversation about your team. And I know it pains you to say it. You are a Niner fan. Let's talk about the 49ers with your boy Kaepernick at the helm, plus 4.5, playing breezy, and the New Orleans Saints. Where you at here?
Saints.
You just fade the Niners all the time. You've been so successful with that.
I've been so successful fading because I keep it real with my team, and I know how bad they are, and they're bad.
Yes.
Bad. And Chip Kelly's offense, if you're a bad team and you play it with that offense and are bad, it just makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? Because now, not only are you bad, but you don't use up no clock and you don't get anywhere on the field and your guys are tired and they're out and you just keep getting more and more exposed in this bad offense. And that's what the Niners have right now, what they've got going on. And Drew Brees and Sean Payton are definitely going to come up with a game plan to definitely counteract what the Niners want to do. You know what? Basically what they're going to want to do with Kaepernick, they want him to run.
Sure.
I mean, that's his most successful thing running. When the guy steps back in the pocket to throw the ball, it's an issue. I told you I don't like any of his mechanics. Some of his mechanics, when he releases that ball, I believe that it gives the defensive backs a little bit of a slight cheat as far as making a break to the ball. They can break on it easier. Just never liked this guy. Never since day one. I've talked about it on this show. I've been blue in the face, and it's all coming out in the wash now. Game should be somewhat competitive. Niners seem to always start out with that. Get a quick touchdown right out of the gate. I don't know what it is with them, looking like they're going to be dope right out of the gate for a quick minute. Niners get that quick, 7-0, and then maybe I throw a field goal on top of it. And then all of a sudden, here comes the other team. By the end of the game, it should be just bad. I got the Saints winning. They probably won't blow the Niners out, but the Saints going to win this game.
Yeah, and there's just no way I could plug the 49ers at all. But one thing I can say is that we've seen Breeze outside of a dome when he's played on the road and just has not had success. I mean, he does, they still do put up 23 points a game when he's on the road, but you got to take into consideration that Atlanta game, So outside of the Atlanta game, I think it's pretty low as far as his numbers are concerned. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I don't know. This is an ugly game for you guys to get involved in, so I recommend you don't even mess with this one personally. But if you do, I wish you the best of luck. One more game I want to talk about, Dream, and I believe this is there's actually a couple that we have not discussed. But
Sure.
Let's talk about Sunday Night Football. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos going into the Oakland Raiders, soon to be the Vegas Raiders. It's a pick'em with an under-over of 44. I am not impressed with Trevor Siemian. I'm not. And I got to be honest with you, this Oakland team is not that bad. They have overcome adversity several times this year and won those games. Jack Del Rizzo at the helm, he's doing a good job. Dream, he's 6-2. And this game, one of these teams will fall down to 6-3, and I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this division. But what's your thoughts on this game? I kind of like the Raiders.
Okay. My thoughts on this team is I do like the Denver Broncos. I've been very adamant about the Broncos, and I've been adamant about Trevor Siemian being as good as Peyton Manning was last season because I didn't think Peyton Manning was that good last season. Broncos have an incredible defense. They've got a lot of offensive weapons. Sanders is great. Wide receiver position. Demaryius Thomas is also great. Everywhere you look on this team, there's a lot of talent. You just need the quarterback position to step up and make it happen. And this is going to be an interesting telling spot. Now, the one bad spot about this, Talib is out for this game.
Oh, and that's huge.
Listed as being out. That's huge. Also, Kenyon Webster is also listed as being out. So you got two pieces of that defense that are out in that secondary. Raiders are probably going to be able to capitalize on that. Crabtree's looked absolutely phenomenal this season. So that's going to be a bad spot for Denver as far as the secondary is concerned. Front four is going to have to put a lot of pressure on Carr, keep him uncomfortable in that pocket and keep him on his back because they're not going to be able to just man up and just, single play the Raiders receivers as far as I'm concerned with that. Tough game. Don't really have an opinion about this game. I don't love this Raider team, but I am recognizing them, and they do look very interesting and very potent this season. I'm going to give them that. For some reason, I don't trust the Raiders yet still. And I may get there with this. I don't trust the Raiders yet still. This game's a huge rivalry. It's going to be a hard-fought game. You got to give Oakland the nod because they're home.
Right.
Got to give them a nod because they're home, but that's the only reason I'm giving them a nod. I'm going to watch this game, very close. And I would recommend, I know you're going to watch because it's a Sunday night game, but you keep eyeing it. This may be the game. This game could be the game for either team to have its coming out party and go on their run to possibly being an issue in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you know what? If the Oakland Raiders win convincingly by 10 or more, you have to talk about them. You just have to. And Derek Carr is definitely, in my opinion, as far as the new regime of quarterback going back, the last 3-4 years, he's one of the best.
Right.
In comparison to Mariota, to Bortles, to some of these other guys that have emerged here, and the rookies going into this year. I think he's one of the best. And he has evolved and matured so much in the last 2 years. Going on to the next game here, this team, I still believe in them. And they are the defending NFC champions. And I know you hate when your boy is crying, Killer Cam, after the postgame when he's wearing his Halloween costumes or whatever the hell he's wearing. They are 2-5 going into the LA Rams. And the LA Rams are 3-4 after starting off pretty damn good. What's your thoughts on Carolina -3? The Rams are a home team underdog here. This is ugly, right? It's ugly. Ugly.
First of all, I'm sick of Cam Newton.
I know you
right?
are.
Before we even, let me just go on record to say that again.
Yes.
I am sick of Cam Newton. He's sick of what is going on with him, and I wish he would just shut up and play football. Stop acting like a clown and just shut up and play football. All the stuff that Cam Newton's done, as far as I'm concerned, he's brought it on himself. Cats are out there probably trying to, put a little extra English on him. That's because you want to dance and be a clown all game. So Cat's gonna, take shots at you. I'm not saying that he should be, illegally hit. I don't want him to be illegally hit. And I want the refs to call the calls if they're calls. But guess what? Refs miss calls all the damn time on everybody.
Right.
So Cam, you're no different. So just shut up and go play football. Dude, be quiet, man. Just go play football. Go win a game. All right? Just go win a game. Now, let's get to this game. Like, I don't believe in the Rams.
No.
Okay? Gurley's not been even effective this season, which I don't understand why he was able to be so effective last season and have no effect this season, because he should be more effective than he is, but he's not. I don't believe in the Rams. I don't think the Rams are a good team, and I don't know who the Panthers are. They looked a little bit better in the last few weeks, but I'm still not sold with them. This is an ugly, ugly game. However, when you go to the skill position spot once again, you know, I like to say that Carolina's more talented, but I almost can't, because if you could get the real Gurley to ever play, then it would probably work its way out. Rams are home. Carolina's traveling. Hey, you think this Carolina team still has an opportunity to go to the playoffs?
Yes.
And I tried to tell you yesterday, well, guess what? They need to win out now.
Pretty much.
Okay? So if you think they got an opportunity to go to the playoffs, then you must think they're going to win today.
You know what? I'm looking at the Rams averaging 17 points a game, Dream. But, you know, defensively, they're not a bad team overall. And I'm still got the question marks, obviously, with the Carolina defense and especially the secondary being absolutely brutal, giving up almost 300 yards a game, 287 to be exact. I think Carolina's the better team, obviously the better quarterback. And I'm waiting for the LA Rams to give Mr. Jared Goff a couple snaps, Dream. They just have not put him in yet. Fishbone is not giving them any snaps. Case Keenum.
I think Carolina wins this game.
Yeah, most likely.
Carolina wins this game because Carolina, as bad as their defense has been, they haven't allowed any team to rush the ball against them. The Rams are not going to have any success with. I mean, they haven't had success with Gurley all season, so I don't expect it to start today, especially against it. That's the one bright spot about the Carolina's defense. And when you put the ball in Keenum's hands and you're expecting him to beat you down the field, I think that spells problems.
Right.
So that's going to make them very one-dimensional, and I think Carolina should be able to counteract that. I don't love this Carolina team. I don't know if they're going to go to the playoffs like that. I don't believe in them like that, but I do think they're better than the Rams, and I think they'll find a way to win this game.
All right, sounds good. Just one more game I want to go into with you before we cut out of here, and that is the biggest rivalry in football, I believe, and I think you agree with me on this. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the Baltimore Ravens. And you got Big Ben as questionable here, Dream.
Okay.
Questionable. Will he get the nod? And because, you know what? I went and looked at the injury report, obviously, because Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite going into Baltimore. I don't know about that. I know Baltimore stinks and all. I have a feeling Baltimore wins this game. Talk to me.
Well, first of all, I think Ben's going to play.
You think so?
I know the injury. Like if the injury was reported correctly, it's not a bad injury. I mean, like I said, I've had 2 of them done, 2 meniscus tears. Yeah. So, and with my booty doctor. So imagine that. I mean, this guy's got the finest doctors in the world working on him, and obviously all kinds of medical attention that the average human being doesn't get. So I don't understand why he is not probably available to play. I think he's going to play. And he's one of those guys, you know, if he's healthy, he just, you know, even if he's not healthy, Ben goes out there to play. I don't think that the Steelers really want to lose this game to the Ravens. It's an interdivisional game. These 2 teams know each other. And the Steelers probably want to win this game.
Oh, so does Baltimore.
No. But I mean, they want to win it to the point where they're going to let Ben play. This is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
The game is important enough to them to say, hey, if Ben is not 100%, if he's like 90 or better, or 80 or I should say 85 or better, they're going to let him play because it's a game that, like if they were playing somebody else, like say they were playing, I don't know, the Rams, then they'd be like, all right, you know what, you're going to just sit out one more game. But because it's Baltimore and interdivisional, and you don't want this to come up and bite you at the end of the season, I think they let Ben play. And I think Ben's going to play this game. And if Ben does play, the Steelers win.
All right. Well, my man Jonesy's telling me that Big Ben is 2-5 when playing after injury. And I'm also looking at one other thing here. I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers with and without Big Ben in the last 6 games where they played Baltimore. They're 1-5. Baltimore's won 5 of their 6.
Well, so, I know that doesn't count on that one game that we had Big Ben not playing. He was the backup, and I remember he came in for the backup spot and lit up whoever they played. I forget what game that was.
Yeah.
Remember that game last year?
Who was it?
Pitt was the backup quarterback. Came in, I think he ended up throwing for like 500 yards, and they beat whoever they played like 31-0.
Yeah, Big Ben is definitely a warrior.
Definitely
He's
a warrior. So, look, I don't know what's going to happen, whether he's going to play or not. If I was, which I am a gambling man, Big Ben plays today. And if Big Ben plays, the Steelers win.
Well, if you look at their record, they're 4-3, and Baltimore is 3-4. So if they fall, it basically puts them a game behind Baltimore, considering the fact that both of them would, Baltimore would have the tiebreaker there. So, I think this division is wide open for anybody outside of the Browns. So,
which is why Big Ben's got to play.
I agree with you, Dream. I think he has to play. You know what? Because this game here is a telltale for your whole season, pretty much. I mean, I know it'll be just halfway through, but you got to win these division games. You could have very well an 8-8 team coming out of this division.
Sure.
So, all right, guys. So that's pretty much going to do it for us. I got a lot of stuff to do today before the Miami Dolphins game. So, Dream, what do you got to do to close out of here, my man?
I just want to look over the slate really quick for one more second. I feel like we missed something here. I don't know why.
We missed a booty game. We missed Diego and Tennessee.
Okay, and guys, the over experiment with Diego is still popping and successful as all hell. I don't think San Diego's had an under game yet.
They have when they played the Broncos.
Okay, the Broncos. Okay, that's their only under game. So I do like the San Diego Chargers over again. In this particular matchup, if you guys are looking at that, as far as the side, I mean, yeah, like I said, absolutely dreadful. So I don't like the side, but I do think that over will have some success in that particular matchup. Other than that, I'm like, I'm ready to probably get out of here. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the NBA or not. I do got some NBA thoughts. We will get into that tomorrow.
All right.
But I do have some NBA thoughts. I do want to talk about the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks because I have some thoughts about both these teams after seeing them play on Friday, and I would like to discuss it. And I see that the Bulls lost again last night to the Pacers. I want to tell you about your Bulls hat.
They're going to be fine.
I'm going to save it till tomorrow. Tell you about it.
They're going to be just fine, but they're not beating Cleveland, which I love. Cleveland was back and forth with the 76ers last night. Which they always are. Dude, the 76ers always play them tough. It's just,
play them tough.
It's always the case. But, all right, man, what you got?
Always play them tough. Listen, I want to thank everybody out there that's retweeted the show as usual. You guys are the best, and we love you to death. Terrence Mack, OJFB, Winning Picks, Joseph Del Rosario, Fast Eddie 72, Joe Ever, Marlon, CK Wins, Irvin is in the house. We got Rick Lopez out there, Dave Wood, Tiger Clinch. What's going on, brother? Jonesy's in the house. Got to send a shout out to my man Irvin. Also, Jim Rome is a douche. Andy Jones, Norbert, Blake Moore, Scott Weaver, Killer Cam, Hockey Immortal, Joseph Del Rosario again, Miss Jackie, what's going on, Sin City Mavericks, Drew Gazy, and so many more, just to name a few. Gang, I got special guests coming up. We're going to throw a little controversy into the mix coming up this week, so stay tuned and be prepared. We'll make that probably announcement tomorrow, and we will also talk about Hats, Bulls, and how they're not really all that. Always remember who you with. Make the most of each and every day because you cannot get this time back.
All you got to do is not bet my teams that I find, and I am super successful. A.K.A. Western Michigan. I'm glad you haven't bet them this year yet.
College basketball is almost among us.
Yeah. Next week. Guys, we love you to death. Go easy this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Spend some time with your family. Do whatever it is you got to do whatever it is you want to do and get that money. Let's go.
Peace.